Hola amigos, bienvenidos, yo soy Yayo del Rey y hoy estoy con Madeleine Roux, la autora de la saga Asylum y su nuevo libro Mansión de las Furias. Something to say to all your Chilean readers?
I love you guys. You're so passionate and excited. It's the coolest thing ever. It was so cool. I got to meet a bunch yesterday, about 130, 120. It was really great. You guys had amazing questions and everyone's so excited. It's so cool.
So you have a really good receive from your Chilean readers, right?
Oh, yeah. It's been overwhelming. It's been
cool.
so good. They gave me all kinds of cool little gifts and bookmarks and things. It was really sweet.
That's nice.
Yeah.
Hoy día vamos a hacer un nuevo capítulo de Índice Rojo donde vamos a conocer al autor detrás de su historia, así que le vamos a hacer unas preguntas a Madeleine Roux. Comenzamos ahorita. When you write your stories, do you have any soundtrack that you heard or any kind of music while you're writing?
Usually just classical music, or something without words. If there's people talking, it'll distract me, or I've actually started writing a sentence and then I'll accidentally write like a word that I hear in the song because your brain is doing so many
So you have to be like in a quiet room?
It doesn't have to be too quiet. Sometimes I'll go to a cafe and I like the just noise of, you know, the room. You know,
So you like an orchestra soundtrack, like a movie soundtrack?
Yeah, movie soundtracks.
Okay,
I listen to a lot
so that's cool.
Yeah.
All your stories are like horror stories, and doing my research, you're afraid of spiders, and you have like afraid of horror things.
Yeah.
How is it to write a horror story being like a scary person?
You know, it's good because then I know when something is getting a little scary, you know? Actually, a lot of people will tell me my books aren't very scary, and that's probably because I will stop before I get too far, but I don't know, I enjoy it. I think it's healthy to sort of experience fear in a safe environment, you know? You can always stop reading or, you know, put it away for later or something like that. But no, I enjoy it. I think it's a good sort of test for yourself. It's a challenge,
yes.
You know, because it's one of those things that's so creative in a way because I've never been, you know, in most of these situations, and it's not like writing a romance or something where it's like it feels more realistic and true to life. So that's a fun challenge to really like push the boundaries of what I can imagine and what I can put in a book. So.
Yeah, so I mean the experience of reading your books, Asylum Saga, because it has like illustrations and photographs. When I was reading at night, I was like, when I was reading it, it was like I get to the like a photograph picture, and I was like, okay, I need to close this and read like the next day. So it's all an experience. The whole concept of the photographs was your idea, or was like the publisher idea?
The publisher really wanted it. No one was really doing that. I mean, there were other horror books in young adult, but it was sort of a specific niche that wasn't being filled. And I know with the popularity of like Miss Peregrine's, that also has photography element, they wanted to do something in that vein, but a little more directly spooky, and also to pull from historical archives and things like that. So it was their sort of concept, and then I would start researching on my own and find ones that I liked to sort of inspire the story, and then they would or would not use the same ones. Sometimes they'd get, you know, similar but not the same. So.
But the result was really scary though.
And they did a few like custom photo shoots for things too, where they set up the whole image. Yeah.
Okay, that's cool. Do you have any kind of favorite author or any type of book that you really like in your childhood?
Sure. I love Angela Carter's The Bloody Chamber. I talk about it all the time, but that's only because I'm like, it's profit. I want everybody to read it. It really inspired me to get into horror. It's a super unique book. There's not a lot like it. It's sort of gothic, feminist retellings of fairy tales, but they're really dark and spooky. So there's like Beauty and the Beast and Bluebeard and things like that.
That's cool.
But they're literary and scary at the same time, so that was a big influence. I've read some Stephen King, obviously, and Joe Hill, his son, writes really scary stuff. I read a lot of R.L. Stein and Anne Rice when I was a kid, so that was also...
But are you reading like something now?
Oh, right now? Not anything scary, I don't think. I have the new Joe Hill book on my desk, but I haven't started it yet. When I'm working on a scary book, I tend not to read other horror because I don't really want to be influenced by it. So right now I'm reading The Name of the Wind by Pat Rothfuss. It's a fantasy book.
Okay, that's cool. Correct me if I'm wrong, okay?
Okay.
You have a BA in creative writing and acting from College. do you like acting or you like writing for people who's gonna act?
I've actually never written, well, I've written a few like short plays in college, but I haven't done it in a long time, so I would be pretty bad right now. I used to write movie scripts. That was how I kind of got started into writing, in terms of thinking I could do it as a professional, but I stopped because it's a little depressing. Yeah, I mean, I think most of where my acting major goes now is in doing stuff like this and events. You know, crowds don't make me nervous, and I enjoy it. You know, I like it. It kind of feels like going back to a little bit of that. But yeah, I mean, I knew I was never going to go into acting professionally. It was just something I like to do.
But you like acting, right?
Yeah, it's pretty fun.
Do you see yourself like in a asylum movie or something?
Oh
like
God, no. Maybe maybe as like I'll have a cameo or something, but not anything major. No lines.
Okay. Let's imagine your books became to like a movie or something. Okay. Do you see like any famous actress or artist like playing one of your characters?
No. I
like
try
Emma
not.
Watson or something.
No, I don't know. I try not to cast it, especially publicly, because if it ever did happen, I wouldn't want like that to be out there, and then the actor that does get cast is like gets a bunch of fan hate or something. You know. I don't know. I mean, I definitely. For House of Furies, my friend Matt Grigsby, who's an amazing illustrator, he's going to be doing some bookmarks, and that has a lot of the faces of the characters. So I gave him some references in terms of like who I picture, but and I think it's like, you know, you can tell they're inspired by certain actors maybe, but I try not to get attached to that because you never know, you know, and a lot of them are like, you know, I don't know young actors because I'm like 31. I don't.
But you're young though.
Oh yeah, but I don't watch a lot of like, you know, teenage movies and stuff like that. So I tend to pick like actors my age and then imagine what they probably looked like when they were, you know, 15, 16. So it would not work if I tried to cast it, because they'd be like, that guy's 40 years old. I don't think they can be in this. So.
I know you're a gamer and you have a tattoo on your face. I mean, in your head. In your head. How come do you decide to make this decision?
Actually, like 5 years ago, I was on Tumblr and I saw this really great photo shoot of a girl with like an undercut, like my haircut, but long, and she had like a tattoo on the side of her head, and I was like, that's really cool. One day I'm gonna see something that I want on the side of my head.
Does it have like a meaning or something?
It's the eye symbol from Dragon Age Inquisition, and it is one of my favorite games, but I tend to get tattoos more to like commemorate an experience, if that makes sense. So I was like fresh out of a really terrible breakup, and I was like, I'm gonna do something bold.
Did it hurt so much?
This one actually not so much. Others have hurt a lot more than that.
You have more than once though.
Yeah, I have 10. Yeah.
Okay. Your books have been sold in 11 countries around the world. Did you ever thought people from all corners of the world would read your stories?
No.
Like being here now, like in South America?
No, I mean it's overwhelming and exciting every time I do it, and you know, I hoped I would maybe get published in the States. Like that was like the big dream, you know. So when that happened, then with my first book, we got a few offers right off the bat from like England and France and a few places like that. So that was just
it's overwhelming.
Yeah, it's really exciting. And I was saying the other night in Buenos Aires that half my family doesn't speak English, so anytime something gets published in French, it's really cool because they can finally get to read it. So that's really nice.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Have you ever had nightmares before writing your stories? Or I mean, like any of your nightmares? I mean, when you wake up the next day, I mean, you're like, oh, I remember this nightmare. I want to write this.
No, sometimes I tend to like daydream before I fall asleep. So sometimes I'll just be thinking about plot elements as I fall asleep, and then if in the morning it still seems like a good idea, I'll put it in a book. But no, my dreams are pretty incoherent, and I tend to dream about like things that just happened that day, not like really scary stuff. So no, I don't think I've ever put anything from a dream in my book.
So have you never?
Oh, actually, that's not true. That's not true. I have a recurring, my stress dream when I have like a deadline is that all my teeth are falling out, and there's a scene in Catacomb where someone gets all their teeth pulled out. So I guess that's the closest.
Okay, but have you never like write something in the night and then you dream about it like a nightmare?
Yeah. The research for Asylum was pretty dark and upsetting. So some of that would come back in my dreams. But that's why I try to do the research like early in the day now, so that there's some time. But.
Okay. On the Asylum series, you talk about a lot of mental health.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Why did you decide to talk about this, and what do you think about this concept around the world?
I mean, it's really important personally. I have a lot of friends who struggle with mental health. I personally have had depression, and I think I don't know if you ever really get over it. It's sort of always an ongoing thing. So I think it's crucial to have characters that you sympathize with, that are going through experiences that you might not understand, and I think too, to have it out in the open and to talk about it and not have this sort of cloak of shame around having a mental health issue. It's like, if you broke your leg, no one's going to be like, oh, that's not real. So, I think it's important to put it out there and talk about it more so that, people can come forward and get help. And I think that's really important. So.
That's cool. What is your favorite movie series?
Star Wars. Yeah, Star Wars definitely.
I saw like an interview yesterday of you wearing like a
Ewok hood.
I like a Ewok hood. It was really cute.
Thanks.
This is like a controversial question or something. You were born in Minnesota, right? So now you live in Seattle.
Yeah.
Donald Trump. Because us, the people from South America, see these kind of things like from really far away. So you knew that you were in that country. What are your thoughts about that?
I don't think it's super controversial for me personally. I'm pretty outspoken about it on Twitter. Actually, the day of the inauguration, I wore a pretty vulgar shirt about him, and I censored it on Twitter or on Tumblr and Instagram and stuff, and people were like, "You support him?" I'm like, "No, the word that's censored is not a good word in English. Like, it's very, very bad." So, no, I'm not a fan. I really disagree with his stance on immigration and LGBTQ issues, and it makes me very nervous that he seems to be pushing one religion over another, It's just not really what our country was founded on, and I don't agree with it. And I think if we want to be a nation for everyone, we have to actually be a nation for everyone, and not try to sort of put any race or gender or religion ahead of any other one. I think that sends a really dangerous message.
Exactly. Have you ever thought about writing a different kind of gender for like young adult, not horror stories?
Sure. I would say House of Furies is sort of, it's a period piece, so there's a historical element. And I would say it's more of a dark fantasy. There's sort of a lot of world building. It's much more fantasy than Asylum is, where Asylum feels like, oh, it's sort of more paranormal, and maybe it's ghosts, maybe it isn't, where this is more creatures and things like that. So yeah, I've actually written a book that's a young adult fantasy, like pure fantasy, but my agent told me, she was like, this would be much better for adults, we should redo this, and I was like, oh, that's a lot of work. So maybe one day. I'm working on a sci-fi book right now, but that's for adults as well. So I'm sort of, I have a brand in young adult, and it's hard to sort of just go, oh no, I'm romance all of a sudden, so this is sort of me, swerving a little bit towards other genres that I also like. So I'm trying to sort of incorporate, more of that. Okay,
cool. So the last question is, who should get the Iron Throne?
Well, I guess,
I have like a favorite. My favorite is Daenerys. She
of the people left alive, I think she's the one who should get it. I'm a big House Martell fan. I'm actually about to get a big tattoo of their house, so I wish Oberyn could have the throne, but that's unfortunately not a possibility. Spoiler alert, that's not going to happen. So yeah, of the people left, I would say I would go Team Daenerys. Sure.
But I'm scared about George Martin always kill our favorite character, so I think I'm a little bit nervous about her. So
I was hoping she would take sort of a turn to become the villain. I thought that would have been an interesting choice, to have her sort of become power mad and sort of use
like
her
the
dragons.
and stuff.
Yeah, exactly. Sort of. I do question politically if dragons are a good way to keep the peace. That seems a little authoritarian, but yeah, no, I like her best.
Well, thank you for your answers,
Yeah,
Madeleine.
you're welcome. Thank you.
Esto ha sido el video del día de hoy con Madeleine Roux. Están abajo las redes sociales de Editorial Zig Zag, las redes sociales de Madeleine Roux, están las mías para que nos visiten de vez en cuando. Thank you so much for taking this moment.
No, this is great. Thank you.
I think that's it. So
Great. Bye.
Qué buena.